Right. I'd like to call to order the November 27th City Council meeting at 7:05. Looking for my Pastor Blake Benj. I don't see him in the audience. Pastor Benj. All right. Brother Hare, if you will lead us in the invocation, and if we would all stand, please, for the invocation, and then that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
It indeed is an honor for me to do our invocation and also to celebrate and acknowledge our members that are leaving us tonight. So in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for this great opportunity. We're always honored, Lord, just to say thank you, Jesus. We're always honored, Father, as soon as our feet hit the floor, to say, Father, we thank you for another day. Lord, we thank you for the council members tonight, those that are with us and those that are with us for the last time. Councilwoman Ingram and Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins. It has been an honor to serve with them. And Lord Jesus, I thank you on behalf of our council. Lord, as we move forward tonight with our agenda, I ask you in Jesus' name to help us to be open and understanding of each agenda item, that it is about the individual constituent resident and not about the individuals that represent the areas. And we just thank you for so much, Lord. We ask you, let us have a meeting of harmony as we move forward into our new year. We also ask you, even in advance, for moving forward in harmony. And Lord, we ask all of these things that we're speaking audibly and those things that are in our heart. We ask you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Councilmember DJ Hare. Good man. Also like to make a special welcome to some former colleagues. And if you're welcome to stand and wave, or you can just wave. Bishop and Councilmember Larry Wright, thank you for being here. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you being here. Councilmember Yvonne Kinston, it's nice to see you. Former Councilmember Tisha Waddell, thank you for being here. There's a lot of hardware up here. I'm impressed. Let me find my glasses here. All right, our first recognition and announcement tonight is from MetroNet. So if the MetroNet folks will please come forward. And that doggone fella that used to work with us left us, doggone it. I wish he was still with us, Dr. Telly Whitfield. And also, I believe we have Dave, is it Heimbach?
Unfortunately, he couldn't make it.
All
today,
right,
so.
and then we have a lady with you also? No.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing, okay. All right, thank you. All right, Dr. Whitfield.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is interesting. It seems like just a few months ago I was presenting before you other items for your attention. My colleague, Eddie Massengill, sends his apologies. Unfortunately, he's absent today. For many of you who remember, Mr. Massengill was instrumental in bringing Metronet here, and unfortunately, he had a personal conflict and couldn't make it today, but he definitely sends his regards. So thank you for allowing Metronet a little bit of time today within your regular meeting to recognize another huge milestone in our collective journey to making Fayetteville a city for today and a future-proof tomorrow. In late January 2001, while I served as an assistant city manager here, Metronet started aerial and underground construction on a 100% fiber optic network across this community. Today, the project sits at nearly 80% built. Once complete, the fiber deployment will represent a private investment of over $70 million in this community. $70 million in this community. And the infrastructure footprint that reaches 60,000 Fayetteville households and businesses. So today, we are here to declare the city of Fayetteville as a certified gigabit city powered by Metronet. Being a certified gigabit city means that we have exceeded the point where a majority of the homes and businesses now have access to Metronet's fiber network. Fayetteville has become the 7th certified gigabit city powered by Metronet in the nation, and our company's first here in North Carolina. The city's elected and appointed leadership understands the impact fiber has in our community and has continued to make progress toward being a more resilient economy, enhanced residential quality of life, and increased educational achievement. In addition to the city, Metronet would like to recognize the Cumberland County State Delegation, Fayetteville PWC, and Greater Fayetteville Chamber for their efforts in making this project a reality. Now, personally, I must extend a special thank you to Robert Van Giens and the Fayetteville Cumberland EDC Board. Robert, could you come up here, please, wherever you just went to? Could you give Robert a hand? Thank you, Robert, for your being a tireless champion for innovation, growth, and investment in this community. We would like to present you and your board with something, just a little trophy, little heavy trophy for our gratitude. Thank you so much, sir. Now, Mayor Pro Tem, if I could ask you, would you please come join us to receive the certification down here at the podium? First, we have this very heavy trophy, sir.
I'm impressed you remember all these names.
And then here's
Kelly.
And here's the official certification of declaration, certified a gigabit city powered by Metronet for the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep these with me.
So with that, Metronet is delighted to officially declare Fayetteville, North Carolina as a certified gigabit city. Again, the 7th in the nation, first here in North Carolina. We're thrilled to continue bringing fiber access to more residents and businesses throughout the area. Thank you, Council, for your time commitment, and partnership, and for celebrating this exciting milestone with us here today. Thank you very much.
I'd like to recognize Councilmember, former Mayor Pro Tem Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So what I wanted to just say out to the audience when I heard Dr. Whitfield talk is I want everybody to realize that this started out in 2020 and got in full force during 2021. So as the world was turning upside down, I just want you to know that everybody in the city was still working to move our city forward. And Dr. Whitfield, I personally want to thank you for recognizing Robert Van Giens, because I was on a lot of those phone calls and he was relentless to make sure. I learned more about polls that year than anybody, but he made sure that MetroNet was going to be here in the city of Fayetteville. So I want to personally thank you myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jensen. Also like to welcome our two new Councilmember-elects. Councilmember, if y'all would just wave, Councilmember-elect Davis and Councilmember-elect Green. Thank you both for being here. Okay, next, our Primetime Elite Bulldog Certificates of Achievement. And Councilmember Benavente, if you will help with those. Jennifer, are those certificates down there at the podium? All right. All right, and do you want us to call up each member?
You do have to listen.
I'm going to need help in finding those lists of names. Thank you. Thank you. And Councilmember Wright, would you also join Councilmember Benavente, please, Larry? Because I'm gonna I've got the names. Councilmember Benavente should be. Jennifer, maybe if you can give guidance. All right. All right, the first name I have, and Coach, I may need some help with the name, is that Eli Adu? All right, and you want each member to come up? Yeah, there he is. All right. All right, Eli. All right, Mom and Dad, y'all need to be ready for cameras now. All right, and next I have Malachi Baker. Malachi.
Maybe they can just hold them closed.
Next I have is Kamir Brown. Is that correct? Larry, if you'll get them organized. Yes, all right. Yep. And then Riley Birch. Eli.
They'll have fun
excuse me.
switching them later.
Yes. Ryan Birch, possibly?
They twins.
Oh, my goodness. Outstanding. Twins. Abram Davis, please come forward. Is Abram Davis here?
He couldn't make it tonight. Okay. He couldn't make it tonight.
Okay. Timothy Hartwell.
All right.
All right. Avion Hinton. Leland Jeffries. All right. Carter Jenkins. All right. Dominique Jenkins Jr. Dominique.
Jenkins.
Come on down.
All right. Tyler Jones. Kyrie Kelly. Kyrie. Carter Lewis. Nicholas McClellan. Justice Roberts. Justin Tatum. Jonathan Waters Jr. Jonathan Waters Jr. Kaysen Wheatfall. Kaysen?
He's not here.
All right. Andrew Williams. Andrew Williams. Caden Wright. Caden Wright. Man, those are some athletes there. I like the names on the jerseys. That's impressive. Dakari Zakarinu. Dakari Zak. And Joshua Simpson. Joshua Simpson. Okay. All right, Coach. Coach, if you would like to say a few words, and we got to somehow figure out how we're going to take pictures of all of them. All right. Come on back here, and all of us stand up and get in tight, please.
Can I borrow one of those rings?
Y'all going to have to tighten up.
Okay, this is the first time we'll all be seen, because usually they're tall. Yeah, you're like good.
Morning.
Good job, Mom. Good job.
Listen, we need to give these kids another round of applause. The coaching staff has done a marvelous job with these children, and I just wanted to say a few words because I'm so impressed with the children or young boys and also the coaches for what they have achieved in sports. And the coach is going to run all that down to you, but you can see all the rings on their hands. All of those rings, represent a championship that they've won. And so I was very honored and proud to make this happen with the recognition. But Coach Davis and the assistant coach, these guys have put in a lot of work. And what I want to say about the young boys that are playing, these are 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and what they're learning in the disciplines of sports will take them through the rest of their lives. They're on the field and not the corner. And so let's give them another round of applause. At this time, Coach Davis. Congratulations, sir.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good.
This would be the first for the boys to get honored in such an amazing way from the city, from the actual city that they stay in. It's a huge feeling to all. Fayetteville, for the last 2 years, these boys is the same. They 7 years old. They all just turned 8. But for the last 2 years, they've been undefeated playing this youth football association. If you're familiar with youth sports, is basically to help kids that ain't doing much with their lives and to basically start a life, meaning by to become a leader, not a follower, to play a sport that they love, to become, to lead other people, to make new friends, and just basically be called a champion. I mean, not many kids can witness that. We try to make it possible for all, which is impossible, but whoever we do help can help another, and then can help another, and then it's kind of like a long train cycle of life. but they learn life lessons. I've been coaching 6-year-olds for 7 years in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Coach Kenneth, if you come up here, please, Coach. I've been coaching 6 years old for North Carolina for about 7 years. I moved here from Philadelphia. Yes, sir, yes. We can go all night about that, but what made me coach is my son. He was 6, and he wanted to play football. He didn't want to do nothing else but play football. They didn't want to play the video game, so I said, okay, let's go play football. I became a coach, been coaching him since he was 6. He's 12 years old now. He played on the same organization, Primetime Elite Bulldogs, but I never left 6U. I always coached the younger youth, the youth where nobody really wants to coach them because it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of time, out your time with work, family, friends, holidays, etc. But it's a beautiful thing when you teach a 5 or 6-year-old how to play a organized sport such as football. But football, everybody know, football brings a lot of joy, a lot of life lessons, and leadership. We won conference of Fayetteville, North Carolina. We won state of Fayetteville, of North Carolina, period. And we won the region of North Carolina at a 6 years old level. Now, that was in 2022. Now it's 2023. We also won conference, state, and regionals 2 years in a row. These boys are special. So now we are on our way to Naples, Florida, which is last year, these 6 years, when they were 6 last year, they won 3rd place. Now they're going again. And all we really ask really is donations to help our young youth get there. It's the last stage. You win conference. A lot of kids can't do that. You win state, and then you win regionals. That is like, to them that's huge. To them that is huge. They about to go play on a national level in the sun at the beach, but we trying our best to get there and make it using money for traveling expenses, food, arcades when we get there, just fun things to do with the boys, whether they win or lose, of course, because life ain't perfect. You can lose. And but at the same time, us as coaches, this is Coach Kenneth Smith, he's my assistant coach. Us as coaches, we put that energy in the boys to where you lose some and you win some. But at the same time, you fight. You fight to keep going. You fight to stay in first place, but anything can happen. So we go there with a smile. We go in there with our smile on our face, with a great sense of humor of the game and a positive energy for the game, but also at the same time to represent our family, to represent our city, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and to bring the trophy home to our city. That'd be huge for this youth organization. When you see stuff like that, you get more kids to come out.
Tell them the address,
so, yeah.
where they can donate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, at the same time, we have a GoFundMe. We do have a GoFundMe account, and we also have a Cash App account, which is called Child's Play Boys. Our GoFundMe.
It's 7U PTE Child's Play.
Okay, and this is our treasurer. That's the thing about this youth thing. It does bring in funds and money. So we have a treasurer on hand that handles everything. One person, that's it. She will tell y'all our GoFundMe account and our Cash App tag.
First, I'd like to say, appreciate you guys for just giving us the opportunity to be here today. This is a big thing for these boys.
I'm sorry, Miss Esther Torres.
Yeah, Esther.
Miss Esther
I
Torres.
just appreciate you guys for giving us the opportunity to just come in here. As you can see, a lot of these boys have worked very hard. I'm not sure if many of you are really familiar about football, but we're playing American Youth Football D2 level, and it's very difficult to get to where we've gotten to. And to be able to get there again this year, we're taking it home. We're bringing it back to Fayetteville, North Carolina. We'd like to just ask at this moment, just for some donations. We've been asking locally for some donations. So we're here today just to kind of ask you guys. We have a GoFundMe. Currently, we have $0 on there, but it is 7U. If you guys would like to write this down. 7U PTE Child's and this is all space. So PTE is together, Childs, CHILDS, space play, PLAY, space boys, BOYZ, and that's our GoFundMe. And then we do have a Cash App that, like he stated, that I'm a part of, in charge of, and it's Childs, CHILDS, PLAYBOYZ, Child's Play Boys. Yep. We're known for Chucky, so if you ever see our videos on YouTube, we come out with the Chucky mask. That's why our names are Child's Play Boys.
All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we'll move into the council member recognitions. I want to ask Councilmember Banks McLaughlin if she'll go to the front along with Councilmember Ingram. If you'll go to the front, and then Councilmember DJ Hare, I believe if you will recite the key to the city to Councilmember Ingram, please. Thank you, Jennifer. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin and Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As Councilwoman Banks McLaughlin holds the, what is she holding, the key to the city? Okay, as she holds the key to the city, on behalf of the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and all of our fellow council members.
Hang on, I believe, let's hold it, because, yep, we'll wait a minute, Councilmember. And do we have David ready for photographs? Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Hare.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And once again, I am honored on behalf of the Mayor Pro Tem, our fellow council members around the dais, and all of our staff that's with us tonight, and even those that are in the audience this evening. I am grateful in recognition to recognize for Councilwoman Shaquilla Ingram, which I knew, as she said, when she was a baby, that we grateful recognize her for her devotion, her interest, and untiring commitment to the citizens of Fayetteville, North Carolina, while serving as District 2 Fayetteville City Council member from 2019 to 2023.
Councilmember Ingram, unless Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, you want, yes, Councilmember Banks.
Thank you. I'll just keep it short and sweet. It has been an honor to serve with you. Myself and Councilwoman Ingram, we came on City Council together in 2019. And we've accomplished so much, including Councilmember Kingston. You are going to be truly missed. truly missed. I wish you the best of luck. This was a stepping stone for you. You're still young. You have so much to accomplish, just as you accomplished so much being here on council. So I don't want to get emotional, but I'm proud of you, and it was an honor to serve with you, and I just wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and thank you to my councilwomen for being here. So, I stand before you today, and I'm going to say this briefly. Councilmember Bates McLaughlin, I do truly hope that you are successful at becoming the next mayor pro tem. I think you are well deserving of that, and I think you are someone this city needs to see in the leadership at this time. And I hope Doug gets himself back in here soon. But anywho, I stand here before you today with gratitude in my heart and a deep sense of appreciation. So if you see any tears coming, it's not a tear of sadness. It's truly tears of love and happiness. It has been a privilege serving District 2 in the city of Fayetteville over the past 4 years. As I reflect on this journey, I am reminded of one of my core principles of being intentionally here and showing up no matter what. As this saying goes, life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react. In our roles as public servants, service and leadership are not mere titles. They are commitments etched in the core of our being, by which I've had the very great pleasure to serve a district which my fabric is created. For me, it was never about showing up when it only was convenient, but it was more so when being faced with challenges, in which I believe my work has proven that I've never shied away from. In December 2019, as when I was elected, and 3 months later, we were hit with a global pandemic. And then 3 months later, we were hit with a global uprising calling for social justice in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. And we continue to still serve. I want to express my sincere thanks and love to the residents who have entrusted me with the responsibility of serving this community. Your support has truly been the fuel that powered this journey I share as my commitment to meaningful service. In any journey, there are challenges. And it is essential to acknowledge that with them, grace, and sometimes with just enough sparkle to get a censure or get gavelled, you still must push forward. No matter how many no's you get, no matter how many times you're gavelled or how many times your mic gets shut off, you still say what you need to say and you still push forward. I've witnessed when it becomes disheartening when disagreements arise and certain interactions fall short of the respect that we owe one another. However, in those moments, that is when our commitment to service is tested. To remember our why is essential to rise above and to continue to serve with integrity. Dr. Whitfield, which I'm very glad that he is here tonight, he demonstrated something a bit of interesting. Sometimes you have to transition in order to continue to serve, to make lasting and impacting change. So in short, as I transition, I'd like for the community to be assured that my commitment will never waver. I will always be focused on the needs of our community, and while I remain committed to you, I'd ask of you, the residents of District 2 in the city of Fayetteville, to continue to show up no matter what for your needs. Not just in the good times, but especially faced with adversity. It is this unwavering commitment that defines us and who we are in Fayetteville. It strengthens us and ensures a brighter future for all. I personally want to thank my three ladies, Councilwoman Courtney Banks McLaughlin, former Councilwoman Yvonne Kingston, and former Councilwoman Tisha Waddell. In leadership, it is evident that I am a beautiful Black woman, and in certain spaces, we don't always get the respect that we deserve. But amongst us four, I'd like to know, and I believe, and I felt it every single day, that amongst us four, we were always heard within each other. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for your 2 cents, girl. When I initially joined this board, the journey was challenging. I encountered a long-standing council that was bent on the old ways, asserting that achieving anything in one term is impossible. Yet, when residents had been advocating for investment in certain communities for nearly 3 decades, and I'm 32, I came in when I was 20-something, to be able to be their councilwoman who not only listened, who not only showed up, but the councilwoman that delivered. I want that to be evidence that mere acceptance is not enough. Still push, still show up, and do not hesitate to make some noise if necessary. To the young girl who may face challenges similar to mine, remember this: I do not care how many people appear to do what you do. They do not do it like you. They don't do it with your brain. They do not do it with your ethics, your values, or your heart. As you lead, you will make a lot of people uncomfortable. Lead anyway. Thank you for this opportunity. I love you all dearly, and it has been truly great.
I think the letter's down there. Thank you, Councilmember Ingram. Well said.
So, good evening to everyone. I have the honor and the privilege of reading the letter from the mayor to Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins. And before we get started, so everybody that knows my story and my journey, I am in my 10th year of this. And in my 3rd term, we had 2 men come onto the council, and that was DJ Hare and Johnny Dawkins. And fun fact about Councilmember Dawkins, he served with my brother on the council. My brother used to serve in District 1, and so did Councilmember Hare. Councilmember Dawkins' mother was my mother's little sister in nursing school at Highsmith Rainey School. And for those of you that do not know, they used to have a dormitory, and they lived in the same dormitory. So, and he was a tenant of my family when he started. I'm sorry. So we go back a long way, and it was very nice to have Councilmember Hare and Councilmember Dawkins come in at the same time and kind of showed us a lot of things that we were kind of new kids on the block then, and you came and gave us a lot of knowledge. So it was fun. And no matter what, when Johnny gave you his word on a vote, he gave you his word on a vote. And I appreciate that. So with that being said, I'm going to read the letter from the mayor. Dear Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins, I am writing this letter on behalf of the entire community to express our deepest gratitude for your outstanding service as Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member for District 5. Your unwavering commitment and tireless dedication have left an mark on our community, and we want to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate the invaluable contributions. Throughout your tenure, you've demonstrated exceptional leadership, foresight, and genuine passion for the well-being of our community. Your efforts have significantly contributed to the growth and development of Fayetteville and your ability to navigate complex issues with grace and diligence that have not gone unnoticed. Your willingness to listen to the concerns of our residents, engage in open dialogue, and work collaboratively with your fellow council members has helped foster a sense of unity within our community. Your exemplary communication skills and quality to bridge gaps have been instrumental in ensuring that diverse voices are heard and considered in high decision-making process. Beyond your professional accomplishments, it's important to highlight the personal touch you brought to your role. Your approachability, your empathy, your genuine concern for the welfare for our residents that set a standard for public service that will be remembered for years to come. As you transition from your role as Mayor Pro Tem to council member, please know your impact will be felt long after your departure. We are grateful for your time, energy, and passion you invested in making our community a better place for everyone. Your legacy of service will undoubtedly inspire future leaders and leave a lasting positive imprint on our city. Thank you once again for your 6 years of exemplary service, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. May the path be filled with continued success and fulfillment. With heartfelt thanks, Mayor Mitch Colvin. So, you want me to
Sure.
Okay. So if you're wondering why Councilmember Dawkins is not Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins is not being presented with the key to the city, that he chose not to do that because he has already gotten one and he had the coin. So this is why he has got this letter, and we have.
Ah, very nice.
We have it framed.
Oh, thank you.
Hold on.
Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome. So with that being said, I'm going to give you the mic.
Thank you, former Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Jensen. That's mighty nice. Yes, Kathy did take a lot of my speech, and that's why I wanted her to do this. Her mother, when my mother passed away 13 and a half years ago, one of the first people in line was Sophie Madras Keefe. She was in a wheelchair, Kathy's mom, and that meant a lot. Mother learned so much from Mrs. Keefe, and I was the beneficiary of that because I got to work with Jimmy, her brother, 20 years ago, and a great man who serves on our county commission. And Kathy is right. When I opened my business in March 1985 on Yadkin Road, 6256 Yadkin Road, Cottonade Square, I rented from Colonel retired John Keefe, and I'd heard so much about him, about how mean and gruff and sorry and just tough that he was. And he was one of the nicest, most wonderful business people I ever had the pleasure to deal with. And so I thank Kathy. Whereas Brother Hare and I have been very close. Brother Hare and I are same class in high school. And he was one big son of a gun on the football team and commanded tremendous respect at Terry Sanford. And I'll never forget our time with Brother Hare. But each of the members I want to thank for what they've done for me, how much I've learned from them, whether it was Marshall Pitts 20 years ago as our first African-American mayor, or it is now Mitch Colvin, our second African-American mayor. I've served with both of them, and both gentlemen have been committed to working together for Fayetteville to be a beacon across our country of how blacks and whites can work together. We are a melting pot, our city. The only other city in the United States that rivals us is New York City. So these mayors we've been blessed with, we're so fortunate to have. So today marks the end of 75 years. The person replacing me will do a great job. She is a hard worker, great family, and I'm honored to turn this seat over, the people's seat, to her. But 75 years comes to a close tonight. Granddad got elected in November of 1948. He got beat for mayor in 1947 by Charles Rose Jr., who was the dad of Charles Rose III, who was our congressman for 25 years. He served for 4 years. Uncle Charlie served, and then my Uncle Bob served, and then my Uncle Charlie came back and served again in different roles, and then Dad got elected and served for 25 years. He passed away. His picture's on the wall. And then I got elected in 2003. We did the Big Bang annexation. Fayetteville was set back 100 years because my cousin in Hope Mills, John Henley, had Fayetteville, Cumberland County, and one other county in North Carolina cut out from the ability to annex. He was so scared in Hope Mills that Fayetteville was going to annex Hope Mills. That's why he didn't allow Fayetteville to annex. That set us back over 100 years. It'll probably be 150 years before this community recovers. That was 1959, the year I was born. And then we finally got annexation in 1986. Bill Hurley was mayor, and we did our first annexation. Then Dad got elected in 87. We did multiple annexations over that. It looked like we were going to lose control of the annexation vote. So Roger Stansel then did the Big Bang, because what it amounts to is 50,000 people got city services without paying city taxes. They paid 4 cents on the dollar on PwC. So now you see what we have in West Fayetteville, which is a travesty of justice. And I hope with my new council members' connections, we may be able to at least get some type of help from the legislature to annex some of these donut holes we have. But this city is going to be fine. I want you to enjoy your life journey. The second thing I want to tell you is I want you to listen to your body. So 5 years ago when my jaw started hurting, the doctor said, "Johnny, there's nothing wrong with you." I'd been in the gym for 12 years, hardcore. My wife said, "Get your butt back in the gym. There is nothing wrong with you." She's not here tonight. So I said, "Honey, I think I've got something wrong with me." And so my doctors here couldn't figure it out. I'm on the Duke board because of my daughter being a 28-year cancer survivor. Thank you, Lord Jesus. I went to my cardiologist at Duke, and he said, "Well, let's get you on the treadmill." I said, "No, I don't want to do it. I'll break it." He said, "Well, then we're going to go in, and we're going to look at your heart." I said, "Let's do it." They found 4 blocked arteries. And I said, "Let's go. Let's get cut on right away." He said, you're going to be fine for a year and a half. And I said, "Well, I want to live longer than a year and a half. Let's go ahead and get cut on." Got cut on, and that was December 28th. And so if we have great surgeons here. We have great surgeons at Carolina. We got great surgeons at Duke. The last thing I want to tell you is be a hero to somebody. My dad's hero was his dad, granddaddy, Johnny Dawkins Sr. Johnny Dawkins V resides in Raleigh, and he's getting ready to turn 4, and he's the smartest dadgum boy I've ever met in my life. So what I want you to do is be a hero. My dad's hero was his dad, but also my dad's hero was my daughter, Jill, who's an amazing miracle. Another miracle in our city is Morgan Hubbard. She had a stroke at 26, 4 or 5 weeks ago. She's doing amazing because of the doctors here in Fayetteville. My hero is my dad, but my other hero is someone, and some of my council members know this because you used to talk about this. And so you two new council members, y'all are in for a fabulous life treat. It is such an honor to serve the citizens of Fayetteville and deal with smart people. Deal with very smart people, whether it's staff or our attorney, our clerks, our assistant city managers, smart people. But this gentleman, my other hero, is the reason that the French don't speak German. He is the reason the Dutch, Chief, you might remember this, don't speak German. He is the reason, his leadership is the reason the Flemish people do not speak German. Flemish. Does anybody know where the Flemish people live? It's part of Belgium. It's the northern part of France, southern part of Belgium. So what it amounts to is this gentleman saved the 101st, although General McAuliffe, the commanding general of the 101st, who said nuts, said, we don't need saving. He said, we're surrounded, we got them right where we want them. This gentleman's picture is at Mother's in New Orleans in the restaurant. I encourage you to eat at Mother's for breakfast in New Orleans. He's got about 12 presents on the wall that are signed. I offered Mother's son $15,000 cash for that picture of that gentleman that was signed, and he would not sell it. I said, I'll give you $20,000. He said, I don't care what you give. It's not for sale. It's General George S. Patton. We must have leaders like George S. Patton. And that's what we have in these young people that are in front of you. And that's what you two have to look forward to. So be a hero. Be a hero in somebody's life. I hope I'm a hero to my 2 grandsons. We'll see. I'm going to do all I can. And then lastly is pray hard. And thank you, Tisha, for being here. Thank you, Yvonne, for being here. Thank you, Larry. And thank each of you. Okay, motion to approve the agenda. City Manager, do you have anything? Thank you. Councilman Ringham? Okay, first we want to do the approval of the agenda, and then we'll do the consent agenda. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you. I move to approve the agenda with the following amendments: to pull item 7.08, 7.010, and 10.01 and set them for public hearings to be held on January 8th, 2024.
Is that a second, Councilmember Thompson? Discussion? Seeing none, ask for your vote. Let's see. That appears to be those voting yes, 8, and those no, 1. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? I've ordered a second hearing aid. Was that? Okay.
His isn't cleared. That's why.
Thank you, Councilmember Ingram. Is there a second? Is that a second, Councilmember Benavente? Thank you. Seeing no discussion, ask for your vote. Now, I believe we have all the consent agenda items pulled, I believe. Yep. And set for public hearings. Thank you. 9-0, it is unanimous to those present. Thank you, council. All right. I believe we now go to staff reports. Update on 5002 Collins, Dr. Jerry Newton.
2 weeks ago, the council asked us to take a look at and talk with property owners at 5002 Collins to see if there's any opportunities to work and figure out a way for them to continue the project that currently sits with a demolition ordinance. I'm giving you an oral presentation of the what we've done. We met the following day, which would have been 13 days ago, with the father and son, the two owners of the property. And when we were in there, and we being the chief building official, Jason Everidge, who is here, and the assistant director of development services, Dave Steinmetz, who is also here, and myself. When we looked at the property, it needs just about everything done to it, including if any work is going to proceed with what remains there, to have a structural engineer look at it. So this property was placed on the council's agenda for a demolition order that was passed in September of 22. That was recorded in October of 22. Asbestos testing was done and funding challenges showed up. We secured the monies in the spring of 23. In August, there was a question about a potential 30-day extension by one of the council members if it could be done. That didn't move forward. Nothing actually came back to the council. The owners did submit for a resident building permit, indicating that the cost would be about $7,500. We readied that for demolition, and then 2 weeks ago we had, hey, see if there's anything that can be done to look at it. You have in your packet the information that was shared with the property owners, as well as pictures of what we saw. It would require all things to be done. Our recommendation is that we continue on with the demolition ordinance that's already in front of you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Newton. Questions from the council? If not, we'll need a motion to it. Okay. Councilmember Hondros.
Accept the report.
There's a motion by Councilmember Hondros to accept the report, second by Councilmember Hare. Any discussion? Councilmember Benavente.
My discussion is just I was using the system.
Oh.
I got it. I cleared it. All right. Ask for your vote to accept the report. It's unanimous. Thank you, Dr. Newton. All right, Fayetteville Fire Department 2023 third quarter review. Chief Hill, how much longer, Chief?
I think about 9 working days, to be honest with you.
But who's counting?
Yeah. Apologize, not finding it in the report. Oh, there we go. All right, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. We'll take a quick minute. We've got another year almost done. We're going to catch us up where we are 3/4 of the way through the year. And as customary, should be fairly brief. Was going over the report to command staff earlier, and a conversation ensued about how predictable our quarterly reports are. I told them, what better testimony to the dependability of the services and the solidity of the programs we offer for that. But the conversation morphed a little bit to something I want to share. It's about how we have a tendency sometimes to underutilize the term public safety. We see it a lot quick when there's a particular crime metric trending. But we take for granted there's a whole host of other risks and threats the city faces that are mitigated daily by the fire departments, the police department, developmental services, and even public services. And thanks to the great work of these staffs, we don't have to talk about a lot of these other risks and the hazards in detail, and we're very thankful for that. Looking down, as we normally start with the state of the department, our perpetual challenges with our staff, and we currently have 9 vacancies. These are true vacancies. Sometimes we talk about operational vacancies, but our last batch of recruits are graduating from EMT school this week. They should be coming to shift over the next couple of days. But there's an important message in there. If these recruits were actually applied for a job back in January, so that shows that it takes 11 months to turn an inexperienced applicant to a productive firefighter. And that's really important when we look down at the next bullet. With 42 separations to date, we're still on track to experience about 4 separations per month. So if we're not successful in our upcoming recruitment, if we're not able to stave off some of the attrition, if we're not able to attract some certified firefighters, we look at going to next fall 30 to 40 vacancies. Operational vacancies could be real. So we know we got some work ahead of us. But it's not all bad news. Like I said, there was 36 new careers started in one of the best jobs in the world this year when we celebrate that. And of those 36, 7 of those have been lateral hires where we've attracted talent from other departments. So some of our incentives are starting to pay off for work. A great testimony is the reinstatement bullet. We've had 3 firefighters this year that's left to go to other departments and missed me so bad they decided to come back. So, but in all seriousness, there's a culture within our department, a family atmosphere where we really do support one another. Money's not everything. There's job satisfaction outside of compensation. Most important bullet on the slide, though, is January the 2nd is when we'll start taking applications again. And recognizing the importance in our recruitment, we did have a recruit graduation this quarter, but what's unique about this is where we typically have had 2 graduations per year. Remember, we had dismal numbers in our applicants last year. We were only able to roster 1 academy. So we've put a lot of effort into this quarter leading up to our hiring season with 17 specific recruitment events. We've become more engaged with the Cumberland County High School program, the E.E. Smith, and try to involve them in some things during the quarter, during our Public Safety Day, during our Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service, to give some exposure to the fire service outside of just the school setting. We've also started a relationship with Bladen County School System, which has a similar program. We held our annual Women in the Fire Service Day aimed at female recruitment. Had 18 young ladies had an opportunity to come work with some of our existing female firefighters to talk about the job and talk about some of the hurdles to help them be successful in the application process. And we've run multiple candidate orientation workshops open to the public. We have 1 more left, which will be December the 9th. And this gives anybody the opportunity to come learn about it in the department, come take some practice testing, practice with the physical abilities test. We even do interview skill sessions, and we try to take the scary out of the onboarding process and remove all the barriers that we can. We've become active with the community college, but some of the academies that they run outside of our own have a great opportunity, one that's coming up in January with the a partnership they're running with the military. We will be involved in that class with some soldiers that's exiting out of the military. We'll make sure that they're aware of the job opportunities that we have, and ramped up some of our radio, podcasts, and public exposure, just trying to get the word out that we are hiring and what a vital career this can be. Probably the most important thing on this slide is we've documented over 110,000 hours of training so far this year. 2 things keep firefighters safe is their training and their experience. And as we're losing experience through attrition, we really try to ramp up the training. And we also focus a lot on professional development. We have 3 examples from this quarter. Battalion Chief Jason Davis was appointed to the Fire Rescue Commission's Fire Certified Investigators Board for us. We have Battalion Chief Dan Mafia graduated from National Fire Academy's Managing Officer Program, which is a multi-year mid-level management program. And Battalion Chief Patrick McCardle graduated from the National Fire Academy's Executive Officer Program, which is like the pinnacle of fire service professional development. I was asked one time, once we became accredited, and once we achieved our ISO Class 1 rating, what would be next? What does success look like? And I said, I want to become a fire chief factory. We really want to raise the leadership potential in our officers. Now, the downside of that is we're making our employees very marketable, and our competitors are realizing that. But it's not necessarily about the training that we receive. A lot of it has to do with the training that we give. Some examples this quarter, you can see we provided some training to the National Guard for our swiftwater rescue teams. We took an opportunity for a partnership with Cape Fear Valley, where some of their emergency room physicians and interns came and trained with our technical rescue teams and give them exposure to what the victims are going through while we're removing them from whatever perils they are. And on the flip side, it gives us an opportunity to learn about some things we could do with patient care to help extend that golden hour we talk about. And also our hazmat team has been all across the state this last quarter, visiting other fire departments and some in private industry, even on training how to mitigate some incidents they can handle on their own without having to call us, and helping them with some things that they can do to help us once we get there. And this time I'm going to get Chief Dove to come up and talk about some of the operational metrics.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I'm going to give you the snapshot of January through September of 2023 in our run statistics. So this year we are at 21,029 calls through the end of September, which is nearly 400 more than last year, and you can see it continues to trend up. EMS and rescue continue to take up the lion's share of our response types. The next is 9% of good intent calls is what we consider is dispatched and canceled en route, or smoke scares. Somebody thinks their vehicle's on fire, but it's a radiator hose, things like that. 7% of the calls were false fire alarms. 7% were service calls. Most of those public service, lift assist, power lines down, some kids locked in vehicles. 7% are fires, 3% are hazardous materials responses, and knock on wood, 0% are severe weather, because we have escaped another hurricane season. All right, our response times, and this is where the rubber hits the road. From the time a citizen calls 911 to the time our fire truck is told to go to the call, we're averaging 1 minute and 30 seconds. Which is consistent with last year and a little bit better than previous years. The turnout time is from the time we're told to go to the time the truck pulls out of the station. That's 1 minute and 25 seconds. And that includes in the middle of the night when our firefighters are dead asleep. The travel time is from when the time we pull out of the bay to the time we pull in the driveway is 5 minutes and 12 seconds. And the total response time from the time they call 911 to the time we're standing in their doorway is 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Our fires for 2023, we're at 739, which is significantly less than 2022. But if you'll remember, the spring of 2022 was very dry, and we had a significant wildfire issue. And if we don't have a wet winter, we may be looking at that again this spring. 30% of our fires start in the kitchen. We had 25 civilian fire injuries. That was kind of eye-opening. We dove into the data. We didn't have a fire or anything significant that took a lot of those in one incident. It was what it was. It was smoke inhalations and sprains and strains and things like that. 7 firefighter injuries. 2 of those were minor burns to our firefighters. 1 was a dog bite, and then 4 were sprains and strains. If you look at the total fire loss value, it's significantly higher. We attribute that to the lumber fire we had on Shaw Mill Road earlier in the year. Our top fire losses were again the timber fire on Shaw Mill Road that was estimated at nearly $2 million. And then we had 3 apartment fires that extended beyond the apartment of where it began and damaged the entire building significantly. Our EMS rescue numbers, they're trending up just a little bit. Your opioid overdoses are starting to go back up from 2022, but it's not quite to where it was in 2021. Our cardiac arrest responses went down by 5, but our cardiac saves went down by 3. And our hazardous materials calls, we saw an increase by 50. We're seeing an uptick in natural gas and propane emergencies. And we're also starting to respond to carbon dioxide emergencies, which are the new soda machines at all your quick stops and things like that. They're starting to run off carbon dioxide, and we'll have leaks and alarms at those places as well. And that's it for me. Any questions for fire response?
Yes, we do, Chief. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for the presentation. With the statistics, 67% for EMS and rescue calls. Most residents and some people think that you guys only show up for fire. So that's, we're looking at the numbers to see that you guys do more than just show up to put out fires. My question is for the opiate overdose. Are the Narcans not effective? As far as, because I know we distribute those to individuals, and I think the county also distribute them.
Yes, ma'am. We have those, and that's when we administer Narcan. Keep in mind, the police officers often get there faster than we do, and they have it. EMS has it, and a lot of folks have it at their homes now. So that number is just when we administer it.
Okay, but I guess for the future, have you all thought about possibly when you're showing up at those locations, distributing those Narcans?
We have meetings regularly with the health department and other officials, and we talk about strategies constantly.
Okay, I think that'd be a good option to look at. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Chief Hill.
Yes, sir. We're briefly going to go through the community risk reduction slides. We'll start with the fire marshal's office. Really, the only thing to note here is you'll see a reduction in fire inspections completed. Just a reminder that we had a part-time fire inspector grant funded the last half of 2021 and 2022, and that position, once the grant funding went away, the position was removed. So that explains the reduction in the number of inspections completed, and also you see a reduction in the number of violations found. If we're doing less inspections, we're finding less violations with that. This is our busiest season with outreach, and we can monopolize the whole presentation with stuff that we've been doing with this quarter. But just the hands-on CPR program we know is effective and important to us. We want to mention that. There's 12 events during the quarter. We're a little over 1,000 people trained so far this year. And again, over 150 specific fire prevention events in the quarter. Fall Safety Day was a big one for us. Events around the 9/11 ceremonies, and Fire Prevention Week also occurred during portion of this quarter. And the theme this year was reducing home cooking fires, which is the leading cause of fires in the country as well as in the city. And just a reminder, our last meeting, y'all approved a grant that we received that we'll be purchasing a stove simulator for use for community training for kitchen fires. Smoke alarms, just over 800 installed to this point for the year, which is about on track where we normally are. And it's probably the most effective program that we offer. All right, it's just a slide, something I do every year at this time. Most agencies have closed out their FY23 books or getting close to it. So I do an analysis. It's not very scientific. We look at annual operating budgets, divide that by the number of calls, and kind of gives an estimate of a ratio of price per call. And I use it as a tool to, comparatively to see how efficient we are. And it tells me what I know. We're getting world-class service for pennies on the dollar here. And it also helps, we know we're facing some revenue challenges in the future. And when we're looking at efficiencies, it's just a reminder to us we're already run very lean. And last, I mentioned earlier, this is the last presentation, I think, that I'll be giving to you as your fire chief. So I just want to say thank you to the council for the support that you've shown to the department over the years and shown to me personally. Could not have asked for a more rewarding or better career. But looking back through some of our social media posts for the quarter, this picture to me sums it up. I honestly believe there's no safer place on this earth than in the hands of a Fayetteville firefighter. And I assure you I'm leaving you in good hands. If not, I wouldn't be leaving. We have plenty of talent on the bench. We have a playbook that's proven to win Super Bowls, and I have no reservations, no concerns about the future of the organization continuing to impress me. So.
Great work, Chief Hill.
With that, just a reminder, January 2nd, we're taking applications, and all the recruitment information that anybody would ever need is on the screen now.
Thank you, Chief. Question?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Thompson, question for Chief Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Chief, let's go back to what you were talking about with the fire inspectors. You lost a grant. That's why the fire inspections went down almost, 1,100 inspections? 2 questions. Why are we dependent on a grant to fill that position? And 2, what priorities do he use or what he's going to inspect since you're 11, 12, 1,300 inspections down? Commercial, residential, schools, what?
Well, businesses, they're ranked by occupancy class. So naturally more of your life safety sensitive facilities, based on their occupancy, get preference. So we make sure that, our hospitals, our schools, our public assembly areas, they get the priority. And they're on different schedules. Some of those on annual inspection schedules. We have buildings on 2-year schedules and buildings on 3-year schedules. I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't get behind sometimes, but we did take this opportunity with the grant funding to prove that these positions, if we can get them funded in the future, will pay for themselves through inspection fees.
So the next part of that question, the city manager, we depend on grant funding to approve a inspector's fee?
Chief, if you could answer that. I think it's used to supplement the resources we currently have.
That is correct.
Okay. My next question is the same thing I asked, I think, during your last presentation. Once again, the stats for kitchen fires have gone up. Has anybody thought about using social media or some of your commercial avenues that you use to use those new kitchen suppressant systems that you guys send around during National Night Out? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, we do have the hood extinguisher systems. Yeah, it's just magnet mounts up above the stove tops. We do occasionally able to acquire some that we're distribute. But through most of our outreach activities, especially if we're doing a program specifically on kitchen fires, we do advocate and push those, and we provide resources where they can be purchased if we don't have any at the time.
Great job, Chief. We're truly going to miss you, and I'll be the first to give you applause for the great job that you've done for the city of Fayetteville.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Councilman, is that a motion to accept the report? Motion by Councilmember Thompson, second by Councilmember Hare. Discussion. Seeing none, ask for your vote. That's unanimous. Thank you, Council.
Mayor Pro Tem, before we transition to Police Department, I would like to say for Chief Hill as well as Dr. Coleman, who was here earlier, we'll ask them to come back to see Council in December for a proper send-off.
Very good. Thank you, City Manager. Chief Braden.
Good evening.
Hello.
Here to present the third quarter report from the Police Department. This should look very familiar. We kept a lot of the slides that we had on the previous quarter's report, so I'll try to get through the slides so we can spend most of our time on your questions. Again, we're going to cover some crime statistics, crime trends, some of the crime fighting strategies we've engaged over the past quarter, and highlight at the end some of our community engagement events. Third quarter, if you take note of this slide, again, everything is in the green. Our persons crimes continue to trend down at 8% or 8% decrease in overall persons crimes. We will talk about individual spikes in some of the crimes such as homicide, motor vehicle theft, and robbery. Property crimes are down nearly 12% across the city. Our felony arrests are up by 25%, and our misdemeanor arrests are up by 30%. Remember this bottom section of this slide we talked about, as long as those numbers are converging, that is a good direction for those trends. That means crime is down and our solvability and our clearance rate is actually up. Again, when we need to, as a police chief, I get the concern when I see those numbers start to diverge, when crime goes up and our actually arrests and solvability rate goes down. So good news on the first slide. Looking across the board, overall productivity from our officers, traffic stops are up by 59%. Crimes against society, which are all the things such as the drug arrests, the prostitution arrests, things that where the state of North Carolina would be the victim, we're up by 62%. And the number of actual criminal apprehensions are up by 28%. Taking a look at a deeper dive into actual persons crimes, you look at our homicides, we had a total of 37 incidents in 2023 with 39 victims at the end of the third quarter. That's a percent increase of 12%. Incidents of rape are up by 3 for a total of 5.26%. But you see that we had some significant gains in our aggravated assault. They're down by nearly 10%. And all other persons crimes, 7 for a total of 7% decrease across the board. The different types of death investigations, as we know, the homicides are comparing against numbers of last year. We sat at 39 at the end of the third quarter. Our overdoses were significantly down. I think the conversation that was had during the fire chief's presentation about the distribution of Narcan, I'll highlight just a little bit later in the presentation some of the things we've done with our Faith in Action and the distribution of Narcan and services to the at-risk communities for overdose deaths. And you look at overall suicides are significantly up by about 10. I started to get concerned and pay attention when we started to see those double-digit increases. Per the request, during the last quarterly report, I was asked, what percentage of homicides and suicides involved weapons, specifically firearms. The homicide rate is 81% of the homicides that we have documented this year involved the use of a firearm. And the suicide, it was 69% with a total of 25 firearms used in suicides. This is a general overall map of the city of Fayetteville with the homicides that were listed earlier mapped out across the city to give you a general idea of the locations of the homicides that occurred. A breakdown analysis of the victims. As you can see, 50% of the victims fall between the age of 1 year old to 25 years of age. That's half the victims. In that victim analysis, there were 4 children that were between the ages of 0 and 7. Those were all victims of child abuse or child neglect that led to their homicides. But yes, 50% fall within that age group of 0 to 25 years of age. Breakdown of the homicide analysis for our suspects. 44% of our suspects fall within that same age range. That's probably the most significant graphic on that page. The overall violent offense for the 3-year comparison, so the stats that I provide are where we sit compared to last year, whether we're up or whether we're down. When we take a look at trends, we have to look past that 2-year, into that 3 to 5 year range. As you can see, homicides over the past 3 years have been on a gradual increase. If you take a look at our ag assault felonies, they have some significant decreases over the past 3 years, and our ag assault misdemeanors have also shown some significant decreases over the past 3 years. If you look at the chart, the red indicates the highest amount for any given year. So in 2023, we have had an increase in homicides, but we've had significant decreases in ag assault felonies and ag assault misdemeanors. As we talk about our violent crime, I was asked last quarterly report about some clearance rates. Again, recapping our ag assaults, I highlighted some of the most significant crimes against persons. Homicide, currently we're sitting at a 95% clearance rate compared to a national average of about 52%. Felony aggravated assaults, we sit at a clearance rate of 65%, where the national average sits around 41%. Our business robberies, again, 65%, where the national average sits around 23%. Individual robberies, 44%, where the national average sits at 23%. And if you look at those two, there's no, they don't differentiate between an individual and an actual business robbery for the national averages. And then shooting into occupied dwellings sit at 37% clearance rate. Those are the drive-bys or the shooting into a vehicle. For the past 3 quarters, I've talked about domestic violence and some of the concentration that we've done. At the end of 2022, we noticed that a quarter of our homicides were domestic violence related. So we started off this year with an emphasis on domestic violence department-wide. Some of that emphasis included retraining and developing partnerships out in our community to help do follow-ups and offer services to victims of domestic violence. As you can see, that trend continues into 2023. The felony domestic aggravated assaults, we've seen a 30% increase. Now, we could apply some of the logic of we place greater emphasis on these things. We've done greater follow-ups to some of these. We actually filled the 2 domestic violence investigator positions that sat vacant for a while. So, you know, I think all those things taken into consideration, it would be influence that number potentially to have that percent increase. But that's the comparison there. And right now, we have partnered with the Phoenix Center. Executive Director Deanne Gerdes is here tonight. I just want to bring her up for a brief moment so she can speak about some of the things that we have partnered with her and the follow-ups to the domestic violence investigations that the Fayetteville Police Department conducts.
Thank you. Real quick, I want to talk about how we got to these numbers, and I mean real quick, because Chief Braden said I couldn't take a very long time, as I usually do. Back in February, Chief came to us and asked us to address domestic violence differently. Let's think about what we can do that we haven't done before. One of the things that he came up with, or we came up with, on Mondays and Thursdays, we get a list of all the domestic calls for services that the city of Fayetteville, or the Fayetteville Police, went out to. And we make those calls to those victims within about 24 hours. So this slide and the next slide is a 6 month of those calls. So in 6 months, we called, or they had 1,072 referrals to us. Out of those, we were able to make contact with 476 victims. And there's a whole different slide set of why we didn't make contact with those victims. Wrong numbers, busy lines, and voicemails. We have 102 victims receiving services at the Phoenix Center based off of this list. And that's extensive or not extensive. They could be provided shelter, counseling, safety planning, or using our crisis line. 27 of them have come into our office and applied for a domestic violence protective order through the courthouse. What you don't see on this graph are other things that have been happening as a result of what we've learned from doing these calls. And we have a biweekly case review with the Fayetteville Police Department DV detectives, where we talk about The cases that we're seeing, we have 79 victims that have been on the list more than once that we're concerned about. So we're talking to the detectives about those specific cases. We also are doing monthly training with all local law enforcement agencies headed by the Fayetteville Police Department, but Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, Spring Lake, and Hope Mills and CID are also members of that. And it's really aimed at the road officers, the young ones, getting some additional training, or just having someone to talk things through with. So we do that monthly. And then, of course, our hotel funding that we got. Thank you very much. We started the contract with Relo Share November 1st. So when a shelter or the shelter is full, which normally it is, we're able to use Relo Share and get victims into safe space quickly that night. I do want to say that we are just part of a bigger puzzle. We have a lot of agencies in Fayetteville that are doing really good things, connections to Cumberland County, legal aid. We're all trying to address domestic violence. It's just not our agency, although we do a great job. Moving forward, we're going to continue the training. We're going to attend the events to reach out to those who aren't calling law enforcement and who are not calling our crisis line. We're also going to start a domestic fatality review committee. We had one over a decade ago with Chief Bergamine and Judge Keever. We're going to bring that back, not to point fingers, but really do a deep dive in why fatality domestics are happening and what can we do, if anything. So we're going to start that in January. And then moving forward, we need to have broader conversations about emergency shelters and transitional housing because victims will not leave if they don't have a roof over their head. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So after all that, I'll present her second slide. Where's he going backwards? So that was the second half of Ms. Gertie's conversation about all the touches that she's had. And like I said, we appreciate the follow-ups and the effect that it's having on domestic violence within the city. To recap some of the violent crime responses 2023 to date, the Fayetteville Police Department has joined and been a part of the Southeastern North Carolina Violent Crime Task Force. We have upcoming Violent Crime Regional Training Conference to be held in Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's December 5th through 7th. So you guys, as the council, you'll get invitations for the opening day of that conference. Again, this summer we had the Seabrook Safe Space to Play that was sponsored through our PAL program, our Faith in Action initiative that goes out on Thursdays to the locations throughout, 3 locations throughout the city that have suffered the highest rate of overdose deaths. EKG's back in the schools. Tomorrow night we'll be assisting out at Grace Creek High School, presenting the movie The Crux and having conversations about youth and gun crime. Our violent criminal apprehension program, the partnership we have with our federal agencies through the VICAP program. We've had several press conferences where, Attorney General Easley has come and spoke about the arrests and seizures that have been made for the Southeastern District. The SARA projects at the squad level, the lieutenants working on the individual locations throughout the city where we have high call volumes and seizures of weapons. Our domestic violence response, the training and the follow-ups that we conducted earlier this year to include what Ms. Gertie's just presented on. Moving to night shift detectives, where we didn't have people coming in from an on-call basis, but we have night shift detectives that are there ready to respond immediately to any shooting or violent crime incident. We're working on, again, finalizing and putting together a repeat or a prolific offender program. We place an emphasis on our drug-related violence. We know a lot of our shooting incidents, a lot of our homicides are related to home invasion, robberies, which end up involving a weapon, that a lot of cases end up involving a shooting or a homicide. We just recently did our Stop the Bleeding workshop in collaboration with Cape Fear Valley Medical Center and the PROVE project that was held at Seabrook Rec Center. And we had a temporary gun violence task force where we put together, in addition to the night shift detectives responding, we had 5 officers that any shooting incident, they would be the first ones on scene and provide that initial response to secure the scene, canvass the area, and potentially locate additional victims, suspects, or witnesses. So those are all the things that we've done over the past quarter that are still in play. Just an overview of our juvenile crime. You know, the number that really stands out to me on this slide is the attempted murder or murder charges of anyone under the age of 18. We've had a total of 7 out of those 39 incidents we spoke about during those earlier slides. The only correction to this slide, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, the last time we presented on juveniles, we included 18-year-olds. Okay, technically it is anyone under the age of 18. So if you're 17 up to 17 years old and 364th day, that's what is included in these actual juvenile statistics. We actually had to remove the 18-year-old individuals from that statistic. Property crimes, really not a whole lot to talk about in property crimes other than the motor vehicle thefts. I think that realistically we knew about some of the trends that were going on nationally with, you know, the Kia larcenies, the Hyundai larcenies. It shows our greatest increase of all property crimes at an increased rate of about 27%, which is pretty significant. If you look, it's over 100 additional robberies compared to last year. So it's played a significant impact on our property crime throughout the city. The slide here, the next slide should show, you know, I spoke with the captains of the individual districts. You know, when we were seeing this trend occur over the summer, we started to, you know, we realized that there were YouTubes and TikTok videos that explained how to do these things. And it was an emerging trend, especially amongst our youth, to go out in the night and try to steal these cars. There was a safety feature, that upgrade that could be done to the actual car. It was put out and advertised what to go by the dealership. We noticed that we were getting minimal response, and people were these Kias and Hondas were still being stolen at a high rate. We partnered with Manna Church, Leith Hyundai, and Kia to actually come out and perform the update on cars for people who wanted to come out on a Saturday out there at Manna Church. I think we serviced close to 300 cars that day. In order to get the updates to better secure those cars out within our community. I think the message that was sent was that people were aware of the trend and the advertising and the things that we did to prevent cars from being stolen, I think really dampened the effect of the motor vehicle thefts over the past several months. So we're continuing to monitor all the trends related to these motor vehicle thefts, and you know we're trying to plan what would be an appropriate date and time to conduct another one. I know that right now they're still offering that to come by the dealership and honor that service upgrade. Just a high-level view of some of the things that we've done with our current LPR system. You know, performance indicators for third quarters, 84 misdemeanor arrests, 26 stolen vehicles recovered. You know, that's something that's really been highlighted through the use of LPR. When we report those vehicles stolen, we can read those tags and identify where those vehicles are being operated at, get officers in the area to do those recoveries. But additionally to that, look at the number of firearms seized, the drugs that have been seized associated to ongoing investigations, and able to identify those vehicles as are being operated on our roads. This goes back to, I think, Councilwoman Banks McLaughlin. She asked something about the opioids. Really want to highlight this slide. Okay, we've had significant increases in our seizures of drugs across our community. Cocaine, we're up nearly 16 kilograms of cocaine compared to where we sat this time last year. And you know, that's 30 plus pounds of cocaine that we've seized, more than what we seized last year. Meth, we're looking at an additional 12 kilograms, so that's another 24 pounds of meth compared to what we seized last year. But all that pales to the comparison of the increase in fentanyl. If you look in 2022, we see a total of about 3.5 kilos of fentanyl. We are already up to date at 41 kilos of fentanyl. So close to 90 pounds of fentanyl alone. So that's a significant increase there. I think is representative of what the chief put out earlier about the number of overdoses that they're going to. So we know that it's become more prolific throughout our community. And additionally, we talked about firearms. There's an asterisk beside that 1,105. Remember last year we sponsored a gun buyback program. During that, we purchased 351 that are firearms that are included in that number for 1,105. So if you remove those from the totals, it's actually 754 that were seized last year, and we've surpassed that by 15% so far this year. We're looking to get well over, close to 200 guns more than we got off the streets last year. Again, this is very significant, especially as it relates to our VICAP program that we talked about, that violent criminal apprehension program. We know that a lot of our shootings, a lot of our robberies, a lot of our homicides are related to drug offenses, whether that's a drug robbery, a shooting, or a homicide. So, part of the VICAP program, we've had 11 individuals federally sentenced so far to the third quarter, 27 individuals federally indicted and pending adjudication. $33,000 in associated assets seized, 27 firearms seized during those investigations. We continue to work with U.S. Attorney Mike Easley in his office with the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, and they're co-sponsoring this conference that we're bringing to town through the PSN program. Update on traffic fatalities. There was a decrease from last year across the board in the total number of crashes and the number killed. If you look, speeding still remains one of our highest attributing factors to the motor vehicle fatalities. The speeding remaining the number one cause. We take a look at our traffic stops across the city, just an overview map of where those traffic stops are occurring. As you can see, there's no specific district that prevails in the number of traffic stops. It's sort of evenly spread out throughout the city. If you look up in Spring Lake, you see a couple of traffic stops up there. I've had people ask, why are we stopping cars in Spring Lake? Remember, we're participating in the actual Southeast Region Violent Crime Task Force. We have been in Spring Lake on several occasions to assist them with some of their violent crime and some of the target locations that they've identified within their city. Our TSR data showing the breakdown of the stops. Going to our Office of Professional Standards, going off our use of force reporting data, we have had an increase in our total reporting for use of force. But part of that explanation can be included in the fact that we now include the pointing of a weapon as a use of force that's documented and investigated. So we've seen that go up, the number go up from 2022. Our internal departmental investigations, we've seen that go up across the board. And I'll remind you that there's a lot more proactive police work that's going on out in our community. We saw that in slide number 2 when we're doing the more traffic stops. We're doing more actual officer-initiated engagements, arrests, and apprehensions. But with that being said, all of our citizen complaints, we don't have an increase of 1, but we've nearly doubled the number of citizen compliments that we've received since this time last year. The breakdown of our use of force. There were a total of 4,929 felony and misdemeanor arrests made by officers January to September. Out of that, 61 incidents resulted in a use of force. If you break that down, that means force is utilized in about 1.24% of the arrests made. FPD investigates every use of force incident, whether it's just a hands-on all the way up to use of lethal force. Our body-worn cameras are reviewed for each incident and use of force. In addition to that, your supervisors are required to review a minimum of 2 body-worn camera videos from officers throughout every month. Analytical software provides alerts and warnings based on our use of force incidents. So if we have someone that has used force more than twice in 6 months, that initiates an alert where we go back and review the last 3 uses of force for that individual officer, just to ensure there's no patterns or behaviors that are repetitive. And all use of force investigations are reviewed through the chain of command all the way to the chief of police. So if they start at a sergeant level, that's reviewed at the sergeant level. It's reviewed at the lieutenant level. It's reviewed at the captain level. It's reviewed at the major level. It's reviewed at the assistant chief level. And then finally, it's brought through IA to the chief of police, where it's for this final review. So there's at least 6 levels of people reviewing the use of force data. Quick overview of our CARES program, as it relates to our interactions with homeless individuals and the mental health. As you know, we're looking to hire for the vacancy that was left when Elizabeth Marcus left. So you'll notice that some of the mental health contacts, January to September, they sort of not went up the way we thought they would, but we have been without that position for about a month and a half. Going to our staffing, at the end of the third quarter, we had a total of 60 vacancies to our sworn full-time employees. Our non-sworn positions, there was a total of 23 vacancies. We have a graduating class that is in field training that is finishing up field training now in our lateral program, and we'll have another class that's set to graduate in January. Showing the breakdown of people that are leaving. We've had a total of 53 separations this far in 2023. And that shows a comparison to last year, the 2022 data. The community watch slide, this has remained fairly consistent over since the last quarter, with a total of 172 community watch groups across the city. And to speak quickly, we had a talk of the last quarter about our Faith in Action program. Again, a reminder, we took the 3 locations across the city over 5 years where the number of overdose deaths was the highest. We identified the area of Jasper Street and Murchison Road as the number 1 location, Sigmund Street near Elm Street as the number 2 location, and Exit 49 as the number 3 location. The goal is to get our faith-based community involved, offer some counseling support, also engage with the LEAD program, engage with North Carolina Harm Reduction, where we do hand out Narcan to individuals and provide that to them. This concentration of overdose deaths let us know that there's probably the higher concentration of individuals needing those resources and services. So that's how we chose those top 3. We started this last quarter working in that area of Utah Village, Sigmund Street, Elm Street. And as you see on the first date, there wasn't a whole lot of contacts. There was not many Narcans given out. But as we continue to go into the area, people started to see us on a more regular basis. You can see those interactions and contacts went up. On average, for the last 2 that we had in the area of Utah, we had over 100 contacts, and on average, we were handing out 40 and 62, respectively, dosage units of Narcan within those areas. So I appreciate all the partners, all the faith-based partners that have come out and supported this program. Just a couple of the community events that we've done across the city. The backpack giveaway, starting with school going back into session. Our PAL summer camp occurred over at Seabrook Rec Center. We had a total of 15 kids that we brought for activities, games, and they made their PSA. I believe cyberbullying was their topic of discussion and what they wanted to address. That came based on conversations with them and through our PAL Safe Space of Play, where we realized that a bulk majority of the fights and physical interactions between our youth occur over social media, whether someone feels disrespected, didn't like their picture, or they make comments about it during school time hours. So we realized that social media had a big impact on some of the youth violence that we see within our community. There's an advertisement for our youth safe space of play, also an advertisement for our National Night Out. I know personally I went to about 6 events on National Night Out, and I think there was a total of 12 throughout the city. Our PAL program, again, their annual boxing tournament, we had a total of 12 individuals, all from up and down the East Coast that came. And for that tournament, it was a nice day of boxing out at Seabrook Rec Center. And it was good to see our youth actually perform well. And this is a collage of different things that we've done over the quarter, from Coffee with a Cop events to, celebrating birthdays with kids who want to come and take a tour of the police department, to our movie nights. So just a collage of different events that we participated in that third quarter. And that's the end of the presentation.
All right, questions. I believe Councilmember Hare. You'll start us off. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, I think you had also questions. All right, Councilmember Hare.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Let me get back to my slide. Well, the slide, Chief, and thank you for your report.
Yes, sir.
You gave us a little more this time than we did from the last time. On that third quarter report, July, August, September, on the LPR, you also mentioned a few slides past that of the fentanyl, the meth, and the cocaine that were seized. Is that a part of being seized through this program, or was it another program? Because
no, these are the totals department-wide. As we look at, what our narcotics unit is, that they probably have the largest number of large seizures. And what you see on the LPR program is what our patrol officers were getting, based on utilizing the LPR system or making stops based on known information that they have about vehicles within an area that are potentially transporting or selling drugs.
then is that count in that count? Is the PR count inside of the count?
No, this is from our narcotics unit and the seizures that they have. Okay, the LPR data is more from our patrol and those officers who are actually out there doing those things.
Okay, so we are having, because I think that is great. I mean, ever since we instituted this license plate reader, I think we've done some great pluses. From your perspective, are we being pretty successful with this? I think so, but.
Yes, I would say, especially, over the summer as we dealt with the stolen motor vehicle trends that we were going on, you saw the number of vehicles that we recovered just utilizing LPR data. Those vehicles were being driven around. We were able to locate them and actually get those off of the streets and recover those vehicles for those victims. If I go back to the slide, again, I think it gives us an investigative technique that doesn't always end in arrests that you won't see on here. These are just the things that we were able to articulate and justify based on the LPR data.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilmember Hare. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Chief, thank you for the presentation. It was very detailed. We all can agree that we can't stop people from committing crimes, those who want to commit crimes. But one thing that I can say as far as our police department, you guys show up. And it's evidence that you show up when needed. I also want to thank your team because, we always, when things don't go right, it seems like we always highlight the bad. In situations, we have good cops. We might have one or two. That's with anything. But one thing that I can say is that we hold our police department accountable. We hold our police accountable. And that's in regards to even bringing SBI in. I remember an incident when we brought Department of Justice in. So I truly feel that we're doing our part. So again, thank you. One other thing, as far as me serving on a Governor's Crime Commission, I know we're working on a lot of things, but I just want your team to know that if there's anything that I can assist with, I'm willing to help as far as our community, because I feel like we're in the right track. We still have some work to do, but I feel like we're going in the right track. So I just wanted to commend you and your officers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, Councilmember Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins. So I kind of want to go on the same same route as Councilmember Banks McLaughlin. I too want to say thank you, and I do want to point out that we are 59% up on being out there watching for speeders. I know in my district, Ramsey Street is, just always crazy and going fast. And so I appreciate that you are watching speeders and things like that. But the one thing that I do want to point out is what I think all of us have talked about up here is the collaboration that you're doing. And I think that needs to be highlighted with the Phoenix Center. And it really made me believe that we are going in a great path, especially when she said talking about connections coming in and the legal people coming in. And so I just wanted to thank you and thank everybody. And I do believe, as my counterpart would say, that we are on the right path and we are coming together as a city. So thank you for everybody's hard work and collaboration.
Thank you, Councilmember Jensen. I don't see any other. Oh, Councilmember Benavente.
I saw that Councilmember Thompson had his name. Was he looking for questions or just to make a motion?
I don't see it on the screen, though, Councilmember Thompson. Okay, you are now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Great job, Chief. But I do have a couple questions. Help me understand this third quarter report. And I'm only going to be talking about car fatalities.
Okay.
I noticed it was 21. And as we get those messages across our emails about fatality on Stacy Weaver or fatality on Bunts Road or fatality on Rayford Road, and you indicated that most of them are by speed, what mitigation programs are we using to try to reduce the speed of residents to stop from all these fatalities? Now, I know we can't go through the red light camera that we had before. I understand that. But what else can we use?
So we do have speed sentries that we deploy out that let people know how fast they're going when driving to operate a motor vehicle through a certain area of town. It serves as a warning to those people, but even if we don't have a police officer in that area at that given time. It's generally used as a precautionary to get people to slow down. Then we follow that up with some type of enforcement action shortly after that period where we go to try to educate people about what the speed limit is. You know, if you take a look at the other night, the fatality that occurred right over in College Lakes, there was literally someone who just got a ticket for speeding 12 miles over the posted speed limit. Was it 10 minutes prior to the actual fatality? So we're in the areas. We're trying to, let people see. If you look at the number of traffic stops that we have conducted, we showed, a 59% increase in actual traffic stop production. And that's not just citations. There's quite a few warnings that are given in that, but we want to make it appropriate for the violation. If you're speeding 10, 15, 20 miles over the posted speed limit, the expectation is that you're given a citation. If you're, right on the cusp at that 5 or 10 under, that we potentially try to educate you on the actual speed limit for that area. So, our traffic enforcement, they're given locations throughout the city where traffic complaints come from. I can tell you this, the number one complaint at community watch meetings is speeders.
Exactly.
Every community watch meeting that I go to, someone is going to complain about the speeders somewhere in their geographical region where they would like to see some more enforcement action occur. Next to that is going to be the careless and reckless driving, whether it's, just stoplight to stoplight, people revving their engines, some of the car club type activity that we see. So that's probably the second most common complaint that I hear at the community watch meetings. So, our traffic unit, they try to take a comprehensive approach on education about speed limit, out there giving people actual warnings when they merit a warning, but actual citation and citations and enforcement when there's constant complaints in areas within those districts.
Thank you, Chief. My other two concerns were suicides, and suicides are up. I just had some dialogue with the city manager, so we're going to try to come up with some ways on how we can help get those individuals help. But my last question is about the Narcans, because you was talking about overdoses. Now, during your Faith in Action, do we give training on how they can use those Narcans effectively?
Yes, so we partner with NC Harm Reduction. They have been at every one of our Faith in Action events. They pass out the literature and all the associated training. They can tell people, and it's not hard to do. It's an actual, it's a mist that you spray into someone's nose. So it's not like there's any complicated procedures for the administration of a Narcan dose. And just if you know how to use a nasal mister, you can use a Narcan dosage unit that's handed out by North Carolina Harm Reduction.
Great job, Chief. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Thompson. Councilmember Benavente.
On slide 6, when you were discussing the self-harm, the numbers that are up 56%, are we able to gather any information about where that's occurring? Is it occurring in areas that overlap with the gun homicides, or have we looked into any patterns at all with how to address that?
Yes, it's not like we have a concentration of they're all in one area. These are pretty much spread out throughout the city. And looking at, we've all agreed there's a mental health issue that needs to be addressed within our community. I think that, that is the topic that needs to be addressed when we talk about the suicides that occur within the city of Fayetteville.
You noted that when it came to some of the instances of crime and victimization, it was young men aged 25 and younger. When you guys have those PAL occasions and different events like that, are we getting a chance to ask them? I know you spoke to it for a moment there about the social media stuff, but is the conversation ever turning into what is it that we can do for y'all? What are some ways that we can be more supportive? What are some resources that we feel like, if it's your demographic or if it's your age group that's really facing these problems, how are we trying to find some answers from them about what they need?
So part of that PAL, the Safe Space of Play, what it was a round robin event that occurred within the rec center. And one of the round robin stations was sitting there talking with a detective or a police officer. And I think what is key is when you're dealing with kids is you speak at a kid's level, asking a kid what resources they need to be successful. They don't even know what they want to be when they grow up. So that's one of the first questions that we ask them. What are your aspirations? What are your dreams? What do you want to be? And that's how we sort of, to get those questions, and we have those conversations about what is the leading causes of altercations within your school. You can't ask, I don't think you're going to get a honest conversation if you just ask a kid what resources do they think they need. I think you got to get at their level and have those conversations at their level. We had a lot of our juvenile detectives that were part of some of the PAL programs that we had to help facilitate some of those conversations. When you look at what we do for our juvenile populations, you can't just have a regular detective go in and do an interview. It's a forensic interview that's performed by somebody who's skilled in actually speaking with the youth in a manner that they're going to understand and be responsive to. So I think to answer your question, yes, we try to ascertain what they need, some of the problems that they're experiencing, but talking at their level, about things that they want to be when they grow up, and you'd be surprised what the answer is. If we're talking about that 13 to 15 age range, most of them, they don't have an answer for you because they haven't even thought about that. That within itself is probably a problem within our community. So, yes, I think there's more work to be done, and at the end of the day, the police department, we do what we can with the programs that we offer. At the end of the day, we still have to answer calls for service, respond to wrecks, respond to all those other things. So, we do the best we can with the time and the programs that we have.
Can you pull up slide 24? I know we didn't say much about it when it went through. And as you're pulling that up, just like the rest of City Council, we certainly want to applaud our clearance rates that are much higher than national average. I also want to commend Sergeant Kemp. I know he's not one to usually be in the spotlight, but he was the expert at the 17th Annual Gang Conference, and there was a lot of people all over the state really gaining a lot from his 20 years of experience. So I just want to give him a shout out for being a great presenter at that occasion, putting Fayetteville on a state level of expertise. But for slide 24, I'm not sure if we have it pulled up yet from our folks. Yep. I've got to ask again, when it comes to this racially disparate outcomes, when it comes to our traffic stops, what do you think is driving this difference in the ways that we stop black drivers versus white drivers?
So again, we don't stop drivers. We stop people for violations of the law. We identify what those are. And the outcome of what color or race the driver of that, or that motor vehicle is the outcome based on the observation, the articulation of the violation the officer is stopping it for. I've said this, we can go back to Chief Bergamine. For the past 15 years, this has been a topic of discussion. I just don't know the answer, as to why there's constantly a possibly, potentially 2-to-1 ratio as represented in this slide. But we have more technology to ensure that our officers are doing the right things for the right reasons today, whether it's actual body-worn camera, whether it's in-car camera systems. We do the reviews of all the officers and the reasons for their stops. I've had ride-alongs where I've taken council people out and shown them that, okay, yes, by the time you identify a vehicle that's speeding, lock it in on the radar, you have no idea what color or race the actual driver is when it's 100 yards down the roadway. So again, what I try to ensure as the chief of police, that our officers are making stops that are based on the foundation of reasonable suspicion or probable cause, that the outcomes of those stops are representative of the violations that the officers are encountering. As we talked about earlier with the actual speed violations, are they appropriate warnings? Are they appropriate citations? And that ensuring that the people are treated with a little bit of dignity and respect during those traffic stops, and that we follow the policies of those.
Now, you had some slides in the last quarterly report that weren't included in this one as it relates to hit rates and searches that come about from these traffic stops. And last quarter, we noticed that, even drug contraband being found was higher amongst white drivers than black drivers, and nevertheless, black drivers were searched 4 times the rate of anyone else. Is that still true this quarter as well, even though those slides weren't included?
So there comes a point where I have to scale back and for order of time. I didn't actually include that slide, but I didn't. If you talk about rates, remember the rates are not indicative of the actual amount of drugs that were actually seized. And I think I mentioned last time, the thing that I could say about that is probable cause existed in every one of those searches. So,
and this will be the last question I have, Chief Braden, on slide 26, the use of force. Could we bring that slide up as well? It's a concern to see that some of the uses of force, the means of force, are only being applied to certain racial demographics. Can you say anything more about whether we're talking to our officers about these overall numbers? The reason I'm asking is because I made the analogy before about schools, where we find out that at the end of the year, black students are getting suspended at higher rates than anyone else. And we know that in some hospitals, black mothers end up having more fatalities at the end of the year. And we can certainly go to each individual instance and say why there was some logic or some reason for those outcomes. But if at the end of the year we look back and see all this data and it's so skewed, that school usually does something to address that. That hospital usually does something to address that. Is there anything that we're doing to address the fact that 75% of our use of force is against black members of our community?
Are you talking about as a police department? We don't train to use force based on race. We train to use force based on the facts that present themselves during that encounter. I can tell you this, I walked through each one of those sections on what we do to ensure that our use of force are used appropriately, that in each case that it was reasonable and necessary. And, those are the things that we look back upon to make sure that those use of forces are being utilized correctly within our community. If I don't apply race to any training that I give based on use of force training, on traffic stop training, because it's not based on race. It's based on the violation or the presence and the need to utilize force.
Yeah, I don't think my
All right, one more question, Councilmember, please.
That's fine.
You said
Just
it
to
was your
clarify.
last question.
Yes, sir. It was. But I think my question was misunderstood. I don't think that I'm asking for you to train based on race. I'm saying at the end of the year, when you look back at a quarterly or you look back at the year and you see that the outcomes are such, is there any sort of change you want to make to the policies of your department to address the fact that the numbers are so unequal? However you mean to do that. However, I'm not saying you have to train based on race. I'm just saying at the end of the year,
do you have a suggestion that you'd like us to?
I'd be glad. I have many. Yes, sir, I do. I'd be glad to share those with our council and to our staff as well. But I just didn't know if you, for your time as chief, it hasn't been long. I know you've only been with us in this role for the past quarter or 3 quarters. But, you know, as you're thinking about almost a year now going into this job, are these things that you consider to be issues that can be improved upon or not?
So again, I would stress this, that we place the value in the training. Is the force reasonable and necessary, not what the race of the individual we're utilizing force against.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Councilmember Benavente. Thanks, Chief, for your leadership, and thank also your leadership team, your line officers, your non-sworn employees. Do we have a new police attorney now, or is he interim?
No, we had 2 police attorneys. Josh Hall, he's been with us, almost a year now? A little less than a year.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Thank
you. Do you have a question, Councilmember Ingram? All right, Councilmember Ingram's prepared to make a motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I move that we approve the...
Nope. Accept.
I'm sorry. Yes, accept. I move that we accept the Q3 report. Thank you, Chief, for your work.
Thank you, Councilmember Ingram. Is there a second second, Councilmember Thompson? Thank you. Yes, sir. I wasn't sure what that. Okay, Councilmember Benavente, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to take this opportunity to make sure that the citizens understand that we want to make sure that the police department is a sharp tool. And I think that we know that they are incredibly sharp because we've seen those clearance rates. We see how they catch folks that are shooting. We see how they're catching folks committing murders. I think that's to be commended. And again, we're so sharp that we get statewide attention for how excellent that we are. I think that there's a lot of issues in our community that don't require that same tool, and we need to have a more varied and comprehensive approach. I think that's important to offer those wraparound services. And this idea that we're holding this city and every department accountable, I think is incorrect. I think that when we look at those stops and search rates, I think when we look at the use of force rates, to say that since I've been on council, we have not done anything to really address that just yet means that we have not been accountable to a community that has said very plainly that the humiliation and the emotional trauma that they feel whenever they're stopped for reasons that they feel like are because of racial profiling, that they can't do anything about because there is no accountability that comes with that. That trauma is real, and that's something that a lot of this community will never experience. That I haven't experienced it the same way that young black men do when they're assumed to be a suspect in a lot of these instances. There are over 500 laws that you could be violating when you're behind the wheel, whether you're crossing over the line or whether the idea is that we're looking for a pretext to stop and search you. And when we think about how many interactions that we're putting our young people in the hands of law enforcement, those are all potentials for things to escalate, like they did on Thanksgiving Day for the individual who ended up losing his life on that particular holiday. So we have to think very critically about the different ways that we approach this city. But to think that we can't stop people from committing crimes, I think that's another false notion. Most people are just desperate. Most people are impoverished. Most people are dealing with mental health issues that if we offered those services, they wouldn't resort to crime. We can do a lot to actually stop people from committing crimes when we give them other options. We can stop a lot of the unnecessary, unequal application of the law when we stop using the police to address all of these many issues that we're facing. So I'm hoping that in the next 2 years, we can think more critically about how we approach these situations so we don't keep setting up our police for failure. I think that we saw the suicide numbers. There's a lot of mental health things that we can work on that unfortunately our law enforcement partners aren't going to be able to do on their own. So let's think critically about how we do this, and let's not just want to make it seem like everything is hunky-dory when there's a lot of room for improvement on accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Benavente. Seeing no further discussion, ask for your vote to accept, as Councilmember Ingram said, the report. Can somebody punch her? Well, actually, she is automatic, right? Without an excused absence. That's right. Thank you, Council, for pointing out to a substitute. Let's see, I see 7. I see 8. Do we okay, and all right. Thank you, Jennifer. That vote is unanimous. Thank you, Council. All right, we want to keep going, Council, 2 hours and 20 minutes, or keep going? All right. I believe now we're going to hold hearings where the City Council formally seeks your input. Individuals desiring to speak in the hearing must have signed up to speak with the City Clerk, Pam McGill, by name and address before this meeting begins. We begin with the staff presentation, and then we will move into the formal hearing. 15 minutes will be allowed for those in favor and those opposed to the item of the hearing. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, unless by a previous arrangement where a single spokesperson is designated, in which case the spokesperson may use the entire 15 minutes. We only have 5 speakers. A quorum was established, and once the quorum is established, per Robert's Rules of Orders, we will continue. All right. I was ready for that one. Go, Johnny, go. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium and clearly state your name and address for the record. You may then address the city council. When the light changes from green to amber, you have 30 seconds remaining. You can tell I'm enjoying this. The timer will ring at the end of your allotted time. Stop. Staff will now present the case.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council.
Yes, sir.
My name is Demetrius Mutos. I'm a city planner here with the City of Fayetteville.
Welcome.
This first annexation we have for you, AX 2305. The owners of this subject property have submitted a voluntary petition for annexation into the corporate limits of the City of Fayetteville, along with an initial zoning request for a single parcel encompassing approximately 20.97 acres. This is an aerial map that shows the proximity of the subject property to the nearest corporate limits of the city. Parcel is situated to the east of MacArthur Road on the north side of Jossie Street. The sufficiency of the petition was determined on September 21st of this year. Here's a vicinity map provided by the city's engineering department showing the area to be annexed in a little bit greater detail. This map does match the legal description that was provided by the applicant and then subsequently deemed sufficient. This map shows the property's current zoning in the county. The applicant has requested to initially zone this parcel as mixed residential 5 in conjunction with this petitioned annex. Should council adopt the order for annexation, this will validate the requested map amendment. According to the future land use map, this parcel is designated as medium density residential. The MR5 zoning district does accommodate a range of land uses that do align with this category. Here's a picture of the subject property is undeveloped and currently wooded. Surrounding properties to the northwest and east are all single family. A subdivision to the north, a little bit newer. Older, larger lot single family to the west. One large single family, not development, a single family house on a large piece of land to the east, and that's actually to the northeast. More to the east is just vacant land, and the interstate, and then south is some older mobile homes. PwC reports that the standard operations and management costs will apply to all extension of current water and sewer service, and that revenue will be obtained by the connection of a new customer for water and sewer service. Routine O&M costs will also apply if PwC fire hydrants are required by the City Fire Marshal's office. Other than all the Other than that, all other city departments report that they can absorb the expansion of services with no additional projected costs. The site is currently undeveloped and is in compliance with the dimensional standards for a lot in the proposed mixed residential 5 zoning district. And of course, all future development will be subject to the standards set forth in the UDO and enforced through site plan and building plan review. Petition, again, has been deemed sufficient. The department and divisions report that they can absorb the expansion of services while incurring minimal costs. And the annexation petition aligns with the criteria for non-contiguous annexation as outlined by the General Statutes 168-58.1. As such, staff is recommending that the council adopt this annexation ordinance 40 Jossey Street. And here are your options. If you'll please save questions for after the legislative hearing. I'm available.
All right, I'll open the required hearing. Madam Clerk McGill, please call your first speaker.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have one speaker for this item, Miss Victoria Clarkson.
Welcome, Ms. Clarkson. If you will please share your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Victoria Clarkson, 201 Hay Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28302. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and
Hello.
council members.
Hello. Welcome.
I pray everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Good. I'm with the Charleston Group, here to speak in favor of the annexation petition. Mr. Mutos did a wonderful job presenting, so I will not be before you long. I want to highlight a few items concerning this matter. As you are aware, this particular annexation petition is governed by North Carolina General Statute 160A-58.1. And this statute addresses, one, the proposed subject property must meet certain standards for annexation. Two, the annexation petition must be valid. And three, consideration should be made concerning the impact that the annexation may have on the city. In reference to the subject property meeting the standards that the statutory provides, it's clearly outlined in the items provided in the agenda, as well as the information that Mr. Mutos provided, that the standards are clearly met. In terms of the validity of the annexation petition, the city's real estate department has determined that the petition is sufficient. And in regards to the overall impact that this annexation may have on the city, I would bring your attention to Appendix A that's found in your agenda documents. And per that appendix, which kind of summarizes the city's services, the costs, and the revenues that may be implemented with this annexation, you will see, for example, that the city's fire department, Station 19, the city's police department, as well as the city's engineering and water division, all would provide services to this particular parcel of land, and there would be no negative impact. There would be no additional costs, no negative issues associated with this annexation. And finally, I would just add that we're all aware of the current housing shortage here in the city, as well as the shortage in the county. And I believe that this annexation would help aid in providing a potential solution to this community. And that is all that I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clarkson. Madam Clerk McGill, do we have any other speakers?
Mayor Pro Tem, we have no further speakers. Thank you.
The hearing is now closed. Council, thank you, Mr. Mutos. Council, do we have any questions of the staff? Or are we ready for a motion? Councilmember Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I make a motion that the council move to adopt the proposed ordinance annexing of the partial with an effective date of November 27th, 2023 to establish the initial zoning consent with prior action taken by council concerning the map amendment.
Thank you, Councilmember Jensen. That's a proper motion. Is there a second to the motion? Second, C2. I looked right first, Councilmember Thompson. Thank you for your second. Discussion on the item. Seeing none, ask for your vote. That is unanimous. Thank you, Council. All right, Mr. Mutos, 9.02, please.
Thank you. Just one moment. All right. This next item is another annexation, AX 2306. Folker Real Estate LLC has submitted again a voluntary petition for annexation into the city limits, along with an initial zoning request for a single parcel encompassing this time 13.84 acres. Again, here's an aerial map that shows the proximity of the subject property to the nearest corporate limits. Parcel was situated north of I-95 on the corner of Middle River Loop and River Road. And if you'll remember, there's Kubota, Larry Sausage, and then the Horn Brothers properties, two of those which have been annexed in the past few months, a little bit to the west there on Middle River Loop as well. Again, a vicinity map provided by the engineering department that shows the area in further detail. This map again does match the legal description that was provided by the applicant and then subsequently certified as sufficient. The property's current zoning in the county is a planned industrial district, and the applicant is requesting to come into the city as heavy industrial in conjunction with the petition. Future land use map designates this parcel as being developed under the employment center, industrial/employment center designation. The heavy industrial zoning district does allow for a variety of land uses that fit within this category. Here's subject property here, Carolina Power and Signal. To the north, on a large parcel, is a single-family home, but that's pretty far set back from the property in question itself. To the west, again, is Kubota Tractor. To the south, and this is actually across 95, is a single-family home there. And then to the east, just a large vacant parcel of land. PwC reports that the standards, operation, and management costs will apply to all extensions of current water and sewer service, and that revenue will be obtained by the connection of a new customer for water and sewer. Routine O&M costs will also apply to PwC fire hydrants as required by the City Fire Marshal's Office. And then all other city departments did not note any issues with the annexation and reported that they could absorb the expansion of services with no additional projected costs. Parcels and structures are conforming to the dimensional standards of lots within the heavy industrial zoning district. And then, of course, all future development will be subject to the standards of the UDO and enforced through site plan and building plan review. And as such, it is the recommendation of staff, after meeting these 3 bullet points here, that the council move to approve this annexation request for 1416, 1446, and 1476 Middle River Road. And if you'll save all questions until after the legislative hearing, this is options for you, and I'm available.
I open the required hearing. Madam Clerk McGill, please call your first speaker.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have 2 speakers for this item. Our first speaker is Mr. Kenneth Smith.
Welcome, Mr. Smith. It is always very nice to see you, sir.
Good evening.
Tell us your name and where you reside.
Kenneth Smith, 121 Bulittle Drive, Linden, North Carolina. I appreciate everybody having us tonight. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. He had an emergency meeting and could not make it this evening in conjunction with the business, actually. So this all started, I'm his civil engineer, one of the land surveyors assisting him with the project. The business has been there, I want to say, since about 2017. At this time, Carolina Power and Signalization has about 450 employees. I want to say the average income was around $70,000 for these linemen. Carolina Power and Signalization is basically an electrical contractor that assists Duke Energy, Fay PWC, South River, a lot of these larger power utility providers. They normally are the ones that assist when, the storms come. They also have contracts with NCDOT, and I do believe the City of Fayetteville's Transportation Department, but don't quote me on that. They do a lot of signal installation. At this point, the reason that we're seeking to annex is we went through the process with the planning department and the zoning department at the county. This tract of land falls within the MIA of the city. We do feel it would be a benefit to the city as well as a benefit to the developer to annex in. The issue with going through the county is that ultimately Cumberland County, during a conditional use rezoning, stipulated that we had to tie into Fay PWC sewer in no less than 48 months. So with that stipulation, it kind of put the developer in a hard spot, and we realized the need to at least find a path forward. The sewer was landlocked at the time when we went through with our rezoning. One of the adjoining landowners had 2 parcels that encompassed the landlocked sewer, and they were willing to negotiate, and the applicant was able to purchase the land. The problem that we are encountering now is that, we need to go through this annexation, this zoning with you all, and then move forward. We have been to a pre-app TRC with city planning, very favorable. We've already got some good comments. The one thing that the applicant has asked me to connect with you all on tonight is the stipulation of city sidewalk. He had some reservations about it, and he did not know whether or not you all might be open to discussing that with us, or if nothing else, I could at least take your comments and concerns back to him. So with that being said, if you want to.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. We're going to comment on the sidewalk. I'll have the city manager comment on the sidewalks after the public hearing. Madam Clerk McGill, do we have any other speakers?
Yes, sir. Our next speaker that's signed up is Mr. Garrett
Fulcher. And he had a prior emergency to come up. All right. Okay.
Then we have no further speakers, sir.
All right. Thank you, Clerk McGill. The hearing is now closed. Council, your pleasure. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you. If it pleases the council, I move that we adopt the annexation ordinance with an effective date of November 27, 2023, as this option validates the final action to be taken by council for the initial zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ingram, for your valid motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Hondros. Thank you, sir. Discussion or questions on the item? Question, Mr. Hare, and then we'll follow that with Mr. Hondros.
Thank you, sir. Just wanted to do a follow back because it was stated if we were going to have discussion or at least give some advice for the engineer to take back to the owner concerning the sidewalk. And I know we had a discussion a little bit about it upstairs. So where do we stand with that,
All right.
sir?
City Manager, would you care to respond to that, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As we discussed briefly upstairs, staff is more than willing to talk to the owner and hopefully resident soon with the annexation of council so moves about the cost of installation of critical infrastructure in the city. The City Council recently put forward and the voters approved more than $25 million in infrastructure, which is to replace in some places, but also to install sidewalks that have not been installed for a long period of time. And so the staff will work very carefully with you and the owners of the property, but we will have to be somewhat hesitant to make a promise about the sidewalks, because again, we have such incomplete infrastructure in the city that it would not be fair to have the citizens to pay for infrastructure such as sidewalks But I do understand the issue at play here, which is that there's a concern that the sidewalks would be sidewalks to nowhere, which is one of the concerns that we have. And so we do have a program called Payment in Lieu of, and we'd be looking to work with the owners about how that might work.
Mr. Smith, does that answer your question?
If nothing else, could the client at least have the time to consider, and maybe we table this for now? I know that's a...
We don't want to table the annexation.
Yes, sir.
But on the sidewalk issue, I think city manager said we're going to find a way to work with you, with the applicant, the owner.
Yeah. And one of the things I would say too, Mr. Smith, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Council, at your pleasure, you could, I'm not sure what's in the agenda package, you could make the annexation effective in 30 days or something like that of that nature. But it's my understanding that in order to access PwC water and sewer, you have to make a presentation for annexation. The council is ready to accept that. Yes. I just don't know if they're ready to accept not making do payment in lieu for sidewalks.
The only reason I say it is the pay in lieu of option is around $70,000, and it's not my money to spend. That's the only reason I bring it up. But if nothing else, if I could discuss it with the client, make him fully aware that he can speak with the manager, that might be a good option. So,
all right, discussion on the motion, Councilmember Jensen.
So, Mayor Pro Tem, if Mr. Smith agrees, I think that a good compromise would to be go ahead to vote for it and have it for do the 30. Was that you?
It's not showing up here. I'm sorry, Councilmember Ingram. May I, Councilmember Jensen,
sure,
refer to Councilmember Ingram? You have the floor.
Thank you. I was preparing to amend my motion to set the effective date to be December 27th. However, that is during a holiday time, and so I will look to staff to see would it be best to push it further, or be okay with the December 27th?
City Manager?
Or we can go with January 8th.
It is council's choice.
Thank you.
It's council's choice.
I'd like to change that date from November 27th to be January 8th,
All right.
2024.
The seconder was Councilmember Hondros. Councilmember Hondros, I accept a yes, a nod. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Hondros. All right, are we ready to vote? Okay. We have a question, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just to be clear, this is for annexation, not including the sidewalks.
That's right.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Hondros, is that a vote or is that a request to speak? That's a vote. All right. Let's go ahead and vote. Ms. Ayer, please. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Mr. Mutos. Thank you, Council. Are we going to continue to plow? All right. No, we have...
Thank you.
We have an approval. Thank you, Mr. Mutos. We have 11.01, I believe. We do. I see a nodding of the head. All right. 11.01, Mr. Cawley, welcome. You've been patient.
I was going to say, I've been here all night, Mayor Pro Tem. But we all have. So this is a really exciting project, but we're going to keep in mind everybody's time and how valuable that is. So going back in time a little bit before we get here, I know I just opened it up with a real long-winded thing, but when council first got word that we were getting American Rescue Plan funds, the mayor put together 3 council committees. It's cool that we had a lot of former council members here because this has been in the works for a long time. One of those committees did allocate $4 million towards housing initiatives. So that $4 million right now is broken up. We've got about $1.25 million that is going on a long-term loan to Fayetteville Gardens for rehab. We've got $2 million earmarked for to help with operating expenses for a permanent supportive housing hotel project. And then we had $750,000 remaining out of that $4 million. You can kind of see on this slide here all the different pots of money that our team manages and where we are with different projects. We're very active and several things are underway. All in, we've got about just north of $14 million and got some rental projects, some home ownership, first-time homeowner projects, and we got about $500,000 left over that will get refreshed in July when we get our new grant funding. So the project we're here to talk about today is on Rose Hill Road. Just kind of looking at an overview of the city here, you can see where the star is. That's roughly where it's located within the city. It is in District 3. A really cool thing about this project, and I'll talk about a little bit more in a couple slides, is that it lets us do some mixed income development with these funds. North Carolina law and federal grants are really restrictive, but there's a couple of ways that we can, very specific ways that we can capitalize on some opportunities to create not just first-time home ownership for low and moderate income, but market rate home building as well. So we've got a nonprofit developer that's been around our community for a long time, Kingdom Community Development Corporation, and Mr. Carl Manning's in the back. If you just want to wave, Carl, there you go. Carl's been partnering with us for a long time, particularly with the city. He does our first-time homebuyer workshop and trains and develops new people to become first-time homebuyers. He is an absolute expert at accessing down payment assistance programs at the state, and he's been able to make homeownership a reality for a lot of people in our community. Carl's been busy in other parts of the county and hasn't done a project in the city in quite a while, and so we've been looking for an opportunity to get something rolling, and he came up with this property and this idea. So this is a 3.5 acre site on Rose Hill Road. The kind of layout right now is to lay out 16 single family detached homes. They'll be ranch style, 3-bed, 2-bath, and a 1 and 2 car garage depending on the site. There are 4 different home designs. Now, the rules of the grant say that 51% or more of the money has to benefit low and moderate income. So if you build 16 houses, that means 9 of them, more than half, have to go towards low and moderate income. And so our intent here is to develop the site and the needed infrastructure, and then build 9 homes for low and moderate income. The remaining 7 homes the lots could be sold to market rate housing developers, or Kingdom may build them and they just would not be restricted. So down payment assistance will be required to keep the primary mortgage affordable for these folks. Depending on the amount of down payment assistance, they'll have an affordability period of 5 to 15 years. What we've been doing with our down payment assistance programs that council approved last year and that have been going pretty successfully the past year is that we forgive that loan over time. So depending on how much money you get, you might have a loan where it's 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. And so long as you live in that house and it's your primary residence, and we're going to send you a Christmas card every year to check on that, you will get forgiven for that amount of down payment assistance over that time period. If homes are not sold within 9 months, the Kingdom CDC would have to convert them into rental properties. That is not a concern that we have here because of Kingdom CDC's tie-in to our first-time homebuyer workshop, but those are the stipulations of the grant, that they have to then be rented as low-income rentals. If they do flip into rental, then he's on the hook for 20 years to keep those houses in an affordable context. You can see here I laid out the site a little bit so you can see what Mr. Manning's plans are. So that's all I got. Got a little bit of discussion and wrap up here. So you've got some options. You can authorize a loan commitment letter and subsequent loan documents in an amount not to exceed $725,000. You could not authorize it or direct staff to some other action. Staff recommends that council move to authorize it. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Cawley. All right, we'll do discussion, and then I'll come to Councilmember Benavente's motion. Councilmember Hondros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Question, Mr. Cawley, on slide 4, I believe it is. I love the concept, love the project. Kingdom Impact definitely had a positive impact for us. I think the one before that.
on that rendering, there's not any curb and gutter. I'm just thinking about stormwater. We're certainly doing that per the stormwater ordinance?
No, that's an excellent question. So this is actually a concept rendering of the similar house model that was done in Spring Lake. The houses and the road and infrastructure would have to be built to city standards. Absolutely.
Just checking.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Which means there'll be curb and gutter and swells and drains and everything required.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a lot of experience with swells, don't we, Councilmember Hare? Councilmember Benavente.
Mr. Thompson, did you have some discussion?
Oh, did we have another? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just have a quick question. With housing costs going up and with interest rates going up, what is considered low to moderate income?
So the income ranges are prescribed by HUD. I've got a picture on my phone. I'd happy to show you outside. It's based on household income and the size, the size of the family. So it's a big chart. You can, generally speaking, you can think about entry-level teacher and a police officer that both just started their new job. They maybe have a kid. 2 to 3 household at that income level would be in that moderate income. I think about, when I got out of college and was going through grad school, worked full-time at Target. Me and my girlfriend at the time, we were very much in that low to moderate income range, working full-time in retail.
So give me a number.
Well, so the 30% rule is what we talk about when we talk about affordable housing and concept, that affordable is 30% of your income. So, across the street at the Prince Charles there, that's 30% or so, probably more of that of my income. But, that it's just what's affordable to you is affordable to you and your household. So let's look at this here. So the income limits for 80%. So at a 4-person household, that is $53,000. At a 2-person household, that is $42,600. Those numbers have adjusted up a little bit this year. But you're absolutely right. With the cost of housing and interest rates, this project requires deep subsidies. So not only is Carl a nonprofit developer who's doing this, he's also got layered financing from a community development financial institution that gave him very favorable interest rates. The city is loaning him up to $725 at 0% interest, with the expectation that most of that money at the end of the project is going to get turned into down payment assistance for those folks.
So I have another question now, Chris. Since we have this gentleman here, what can we do to motivate him to do more houses across the city?
I think that's a big part of it. This is it's a pretty expensive activity to do this. It's absolutely needed. Carl and I work pretty good together. I think this will be a really good project, and I don't know if he wants me to say out loud, but this might be his last project as he eventually retires after working with the city for 20 plus years.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Councilmember Hare, question, and then Councilmember Ingram, then Benavente.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And not so much of a question, but just a thumbs up to Mr. Manning and Kingdom CDC. I've been familiar with them and working with them on this side of the city. They have done some great projects over the years. So this is not their first to some of the new members, because they've done projects over the years for the city of Fayetteville. So a great big thumbs up. I think this is a good asset for us with this rescue funding, and also just giving an echo to the mayor whenever he put the committees together, this being one of low to moderate income housing. I think it was a big plus and a great way for us utilizing this money, and I look forward to supporting this item tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Hare. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you. No, I just want to uplift and thank Mr. Manning. Well, thank you for working with Mr. Manning, but I would just want to really, truly thank Mr. Manning. I guess when I came on council, I was really interested in seeing more minority participation within the city as it relates to developing. And Mr. Manning, thank you so much for not giving up. You've done so much great work within the city and county, and so I'm glad to see you come back to the table and with us. So I really appreciate you and the work that you've done and the work that you've done to help individuals become first-time homeowners. It is very, very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ingram. Councilmember Benavente.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move that the council authorize a loan commitment letter and subsequent loan documents, an amount not to exceed $725,000 from the city's ARPA funds allocated for housing to the proposed Rose Hill Road development.
Thank you, Councilmember Benavente. I believe that I first turned to Councilmember Hare for the second. Thank you for that motion, Councilmember Benavente. Valid motion and second. Discussion. I believe we're ready to vote.
Thank you, Mr. Manning.
Jennifer, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manning. One more. I'm missing one. Is he a North Sider? No. Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you, Council.
Motion by Councilmember Thompson. Thank you, Councilmember.